Please welcome back Stéphane Lafleur. Is he back? You know, this film has such a kind of special mood. And it's very hard to kind of even characterize it, but it's very captivating, and it deals with this kind of limbo state that your main character Nicole finds herself in, sort of between childhood and adulthood, but and in this kind of like endless summer that seems to just go on and on and on. I'm really curious to know where this idea came from, what inspired it.
I tried to where to start? When I started writing a film, it seems like it's images and a mood that sticks to my head in my head for a long time, and then it kind of goes naturally for the first draft of the script. And for that film, it started with the title actually. Tu Dors Nicole. And Nicole is in Quebec is a name, an older name, like it's like maybe more the generation of my parents and maybe even older. And so I thought it would be interesting to give that name to a young woman. And then the idea of focusing on that limbo state and that weird period of time when you're at the beginning of your 20s and you're not a teenager anymore. And but you're trying to keep it going on a little bit, but you're not really an adult yet, or not with those problems yet. And I guess I've seen a lot of films dealing with teenage experiencing the first time, and then it always skips to being 30 and having kids or not, and am I happy in my job and everything. And I thought there was a gap there that was interesting to focus on.
Do you think that kind of gap period and the thing of living with a parent still is kind of a more of a modern phenomenon in a way?
It's hard to say. That's why I wanted to put in that movie different version of it, because that's why I put the best friend in an apartment with dealing with other sorts of problems, but I think having your first credit card and thinking that everything is free at some point is kind of a naive thinking that you get when you're at that age, I guess. But the whole film is a film about the in-betweens, like the in-betweens, those two ages, between day and night, between dream and reality, and yeah.
How does the fact that she's unable to sleep connect with this kind of limbo state that she's in and eventually kind of gets out of?
Well, I didn't really want to clarify the reason of that state of mind. Like it could be the warmest of the summer, could be, or it could be something that it's more profound in herself. And I wanted with that film to revisit like the summer nights of my when I was younger. Like we used to do camping in the background and go out at night and walk in the neighborhood and see what was going on through the windows of the houses, and I wanted that to come back to that feeling, and wanted to Nicole to be alone in that state of mind and in that thing, and I wanted the nights to be her nights, So that's when the sleepwalking and the insomnia came in.
Do you see there being a kind of a connection between her condition and her brother's? Her brother seems to be stuck in a different kind of, not limbo, but he's stuck in a different kind of rut where he has his band, but he's unable to really move forwards with it because he's unsatisfied. Is that again? How does that kind of get placed within this story?
Well, I wanted to put Nicole opposite to, she's 22 or something, and she's got all the possibilities in the world, and she doesn't know what to do with this. and I wanted to oppose her to, let's say, her brother who is older, and he used to have a dream, and maybe he's getting at the age where he's kind of realizing that it won't happen, and at the same time oppose her to a young boy of 10 years old who really knows what he expects from life, from love, and from everything. And you know, focusing on a character like Nicole is kind of tricky, because you know you don't want a film to be boring, even if she's a little bit bored. So I wanted to oppose her to more.
Where does the idea for this boy come from? It's kind of like a really great, it's a really great gag.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I was in Chicago at the Art Museum at some point, and I heard a really deep voice next to me, really, really deep voice, and I looked, and it was a really young boy. That his voice had changed, but not his body, and it, it stayed in my mind for a couple of years. And while writing the film, I always like to put surrealistic elements in my film, and that boy just came in at the right moment.
Let's see if we have some questions out there. Anyone? The question was about, in the end the question was about black and white and why the choice to shoot in black and white, but there was also, the film reminded us of Fernando Mbekke's film Duck Season, which is also in black and white, and kind of dealt with a similar kind of situation with 3 teenage boys. That was in New Directors about 10 years ago. So, but I agree. It's have you seen that one?
No, I haven't seen that film.
You must.
I will. The reason of the black and white. Well, when I first started imagining that film, it was in color in my head, actually, and it's having dinner with the DP of the film, Sarah Michaura, who also worked on my 2 previous films, and she knew what I was working on. She knew I was working on a film that would take place during summer, and especially at night. And she came in with different photography books, all of summer landscape, lighting, and everything. And one of them was from Robert Adams, that you might know. He did a wonderful book called Summer Nights Walking. And the idea came from that book, because it was just suburban images at night during summer, and all the feeling that I was talking about, that walking around in your neighborhood, and even the warmest and the texture of the grass was in those pictures, and we really liked the feel of it. And at the same time, I liked the idea of doing a film that would be timeless in a way, because I didn't want to pretend to portray those 2 girls in 2013 when we shot the film. That's why I got rid of all the modern technology, because I wasn't interested in that. I was interested more in the feeling of the summer, and the friendship and the relationship with the girls, with the guys, and everything. So I guess it's more inspired by my 20s in a way, because I'm getting older.
Because the one exception to that kind of eliminating of all sort of cell phones and things like that is the bass player. He does have a kind of a little smartphone, and he's on it at one point. That's the only time that you kind of, it makes you realise that everything else is missing. It's the one moment. I'm curious about why you made an exception for him.
For which part?
I think it's the bass player in the band.
He's got this whole cell phone. Like I'm like I don't want to do period film as well. So I'm trying to do weird modern film where I just mix everything, and you don't really know when it's taking place, and it's not really important because it's a film anyway. So that's how I approach the modernity or the time.
To follow up on the question about shooting in black and white, did that then lead to the decision to shoot on film? Because I noticed it was shot on film, and it has a very special look, a kind of low contrast look that I'm not sure you could get with digital video.
No, I'm not too much into video for the moment. Like I really like the film stock. I really like what it does. I really like the feel of it. I know there's a lot of chances that will end soon, especially where I live. Like this film was shot on color stock actually because it was just impossible to process black and white stock where in Montreal. So and to be just to have the dailies every day daily, we had to shot on color stock, unfortunately. Well, the locations, all the film is shot around Montreal, but in different cities. And the film was shot on 28 days, and 17 of them were in the house or outside the house. And we basically put a family out for 2 months for and rent their house, and we just got rid of all their furniture and fill it with our stuff and what we thought would be the family of Nicole. And then we had to move on because some places didn't want us shooting at night, and it was kind of complicated. But it's all in the suburban area of Montreal. I grew up in those kinds of area and landscapes north of Montreal, so I'm kind of used to those places, and maybe in a more romance way. I don't know.
But you weren't revisiting places that you had known when you were young.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, all the music aspect of the film was probably the more complicated thing we had to do because of the live music in the film. I asked a friend of mine who's a good musician to compose pieces for the bands. That it's not a real band; it's actors playing instruments. And the inspiration was really Fugazi, which is a Washington hardcore band, and I wanted that kind of hard and but at the same time melodic music. And the other side of the music it was composed by a Montreal band, Organ Mood. The more that's the music that it's more like used like a soundtrack. Two songs that I use in a film already existed, and I was listening to them while I was writing the film, and I liked again the timeless feel of it. Like you don't really know when it was composed, if it was a Haiti or the 70s. It could have been in the 70s as well. And I asked the guy from the band to compose extra stuff to complete the film and to fill some gap in the music.
But it's very much at odds with the music that's being played on screen. It's electronic music.
Exactly, and I wanted them to be so different that you couldn't, mix them. We tried at some point to do an interpretation in an electronic version of one of the band songs to be, almost imperceptible, and but it didn't really work out, so we kind of abandoned that idea.
You yourself are a musician, and you presumably have been in bands, and so were there any autobiographical details in the kind of story of this band?
Well, I guess the music that is played in the film is really, really different from my band. I play more like folk country music, and
you're always firing your drummer.
Yeah, but of course there's a lot of stories, and I like the aspect of those big and dirty instruments and that really clean house. So that was the beginning of it. Yeah.
Could you talk about working with your actress and how you kind of modulated a performance, given that a lot of the time she doesn't have to do anything very expressive, but very subtle things sort of bubble up to the surface?
Yeah, it's kind of a it's hard to explain. Like it was mainly in the script. My direction to the actors always don't play the humoristic part of it. Like it's supposed to. If it's funny, hopefully people will laugh, and if it's not, you don't have to emphasize that. So it was basically like we've talked a lot with Julianne to make sure that Nicole would be sympathetic. Like even though she's kind of hard to understand and at some point maybe I wanted that character. I wanted people to. I wanted that you want to shake her at some point, and she kind of exploded herself at the end, which is a relief. And but at the same time, I wanted you to be able to find her enjoyable and maybe understand a bit of what she's going through. So yeah, but Julianne has done some, even that it looks like a serious part, but she's done some comedy before from web series and everything. So she knows that part as well. It's in her. She's a really funny girl, actually.
I'm afraid I only have time for one last question, and I think it goes to you because you've been persistent. This viewer says that it doesn't remind him of any kind of Montreal that he's ever really seen before, and it almost looked Californian. So could you talk about what you did or didn't do to kind of get this kind of unique kind of look to the film?
Well, thank you. What can I say? There was certainly a challenge to film Hot Summer in black and white, first of all. I don't know what to say. It just came in naturally. I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know when did you come in Montreal, maybe in winter, but we really have hot summers, and there's this thing about Quebec where we really have like 4 seasons, and it makes it really special. Like, every season is really special. We're freezing during winter, and in springtime people goes literally crazy and get naked, and then it's summer, and in summer for someone like me, like you just feel like it's a panic state of mind, because you only have like 2 months and a half of sun, and you have to do something of it, and I just don't know what to do with it. So I don't really know what to answer to your question, unfortunately, but I don't know exactly what bring you to that feeling, but I will take it as a compliment.
Stéphane Lafleur, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.